Hi everyone, it's me, Spring, the fiber enthusiast, and welcome to the channel. Today's tutorial is going to be on a knitted mitered square block 3. So we have a whole bunch sitting here in front of you that I've already done. So we did on the first video block 1, and in the second video we did block 2. Now we're going to pretend that these don't exist right now. All 3 of these. We're going to just like block those out of your mind. We're going to be working on this block here. So we did 1, we did 2, now we're going to do 3. Now 3 is done. Each one of these is done differently when you're connecting together and making them. You have your original and then each of your additional 3 to create a full square is done differently. So if you worked on the second block, you worked 1, you worked 2, you now know that you can continue working along the line and get it to the width or length you desire. So you've got it that wide, you've got as many blocks as you want, and now we want to start row 2. So here's another way to look at this. We're working on row 2. So we're working from left to right, looking at the right side of our work. This is the wrong side. We're looking at the right side of our work here. Okay, so in order to accomplish block 3 is different to start from block 2 because block 2 we cast on and then picked up stitches. For block 3, we are going to pick up stitches and then cast on the additional stitches that we need. I'm going to put that there. All right, so let's get our mitered squares that we're working on and get our next color of yarn. You can use whatever colors you choose. This is just what I'm doing so you can see the difference as they're coming together. All right, so I put a slip knot just for the ease of working up this on a tutorial. You do not have to put a slip knot. You can just pick up the yarn through the stitch and worry about that at the end without having a knot. It just makes it easier and less cumbersome. Now let me zoom in because I want to show you where we're going to be picking up. We're going to pick up right at the very point of this square. So if I scoot down to row 1, because we're working this blue square here, you can see where it's picked up right here at this very point. Spread those apart a little bit. So we're picking up at this very point, and we're going to work all the way down, picking up stitches for a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, and 14 stitches. Yes, this is 15, but our 15th stitch has to be this corner here. So we're going to pick up 14, cast on 16, and that will give us our total of 30 stitches. So you're going to take your needle here, and you're going to go right into the very corner of that stitch, or that mitered square number 1. And we're going to pop through. Let me see if I can get it to behave itself. This was supposed to be easier as a knot, right? No, seriously, this yarn is super thick, or super slick. Okay. All right, so I'm going to tighten that down a little bit. There we go. Not too much because I want to be able to get back into that stitch. All right, so here is stitch 1. Then we're going to separate these out, and we're kind of going, instead of picking up the bumps on the side of your work here, we want to give a good foundation. So like we did connecting block 2 to block 1, we're going in between and picking up 2 legs of the stitch here on the side and going into. So here we are. And you're going to do this until you have picked up a total of 14 stitches. So you just work down the side until you have 14 stitches on your needle. Now, once I've got my 14 stitches on my needle, I will come back and I'll show you how to cast on, or give you suggestions as how to cast on the remaining stitches. All right, so once you've picked up your 14 stitches along the way, let's see if I can get my needle here out of the way. Picked up your 14 stitches. Now we need to cast on 16. Now that will create, what that's going to do, it's going to create this point here. So we're picking up 14, casting on 16. That will give us our 30 stitches. So what's going to happen is our point is going to be right here, and we're going to work this way. So our diagonal mark here in the center from all our decreases goes the same direction. So now you can cast on just by simply creating a bunch of half hitches, taking your yarn in your hand, taking your thumb, running it around, so away from you, under, towards you, and up, back facing away from you, and slip your needle from your wrist up your thumb and slide that loop off. That creates what's called a half hitch. Now you can totally do that. That is absolutely okay. Absolutely okay. I'm also going to show you another way to do this. So I'm going to bring my other needle around. I'm going to turn my work. So I'm looking at the wrong side here. And I'm going to go in between. Get that out of the way. I'm going to go in between the last 2 stitches picked up. I'm going to go right in between them. Like that. And I'm going to yarn over my needle and pull a loop through. And now I'm going to place it, turn it, and place it onto my needle. Now I'm going to go in between those 2, the one I just created and the last one. Insert my needle, same thing, yarn over, bring that stitch through, turn it, and place it on the needle. I just created a second stitch. One more time, I'm going to go in between those stitches, the last 2 stitches made, yarn over, bring that yarn over through, turn it, and place that loop you created onto your needle. So that's 3 stitches now. And you can continue to do that until you have 16 stitches. And that's going to give you a little bit more of the knitted appearance here on the bottom. So one more time, and then I'll go and finish the stitches off camera. You go in between the last 2 stitches, the last one you made and the one prior. Directly in between. Yarn over it, that needle, and pull up a loop. Turn that loop sideways, like away from you, and place it onto your needle. And you give it a little bit of a tug, not too much. Just tighten that loop up just a little bit. And then do it again. I can do it in one motion because I've been doing it for a little while now. But that is the overall idea of adding some more stitches. You got a couple ways you can do it. All right, I'm going to finish up these stitches off camera, and then I'll come back and we'll work through a few rows together just to show you a reminder of the decreases that happen and how to work the mitered square. Okay, so welcome back. This is what you should have. You should have all 30 stitches at this present moment from your pickup stitches and your cast on stitches. This is the right side of the work. We're now going to turn our work to the wrong side to work our first row. The first row is a knitted row. So we knit every single stitch and we decrease on the right side of the work. And if you need a little help as to a reminder as to what you're supposed to do on each row at, which end of the row you're on, after you've knitted your first row or knitted a few stitches of your first row, you can take your stitch marker and just put it on that end, that starting end. That way, you know, when you get to turn your work and the stitch marker is at the beginning of the row, that it's a knit row. Another way to look at it is the reverse side. If you look at the back of your squares, you can tell that it is the reverse, the back of your work, the wrong side. That is knitted. So if it's facing you, you knit it. If it's the right side facing you, it's a decrease row. All right, so let's move on. You're just simply going to knit every single stitch for the 30 stitches that are here. Okay, so now when doing your decrease rows, you may want to put a stitch marker in for ease at the halfway point. So that is, again, up to you. It's not a big deal if you don't. It's not a big deal if you do. I'm going to throw one on to show you once again. So we know we need 15 stitches. So 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, and 15. So right after the 15th stitch is where the stitch marker will go if you're using one. The stitch marker makes it easy for the decrease rows because you know when you're coming up on the stitch marker, you're going to decrease the 2 before and the 2 after your stitch marker. It makes it easier for less counting. All right, so decrease rows are as followed. Your number will change for the amount of stitches you knit, because we're decreasing as we go. So for this time, it's going to be knit 13 and then decrease these 2 together, and then decrease these 2 together and knit 13 more. The next time it'll be 12. You'll knit 12 and then decrease. So it's ever changing until you're all the way down to just 1 stitch. But for this row, it is 13. Or 2 stitches before your stitch marker. So we're just going to knit over 13 stitches. All right, now we have 14 and 15. We need to knit 2 together on the first half. So the first decrease is knit 2 together. Pass your stitch marker when you come to it. Now the second decrease is a slip slip knit. I'm going to show you how I do it. In the first mitered square, I show you how I do it and how a slip slip knit is done in standard form. But I'm going to show you how I do it in this video and the next video. So I'm going to go in as if to knit the first stitch. I'm going to turn my work up towards me and I'm going to pick up the back leg of the second stitch. Yarn over and pull that through both of those stitches and pop them off. Now that is a slip slip knit. Now we're going to knit to the end of the row. All of your decreases and rows are the same. The biggest thing is picking up those stitches and casting on which and where and how to add more squares. So we've gotten past that part. I'm going to show you a quick little reminder again. When you turn your work over to the wrong side, or if you're using a stitch marker at the beginning of the row for a reminder, that is your knit side. So we're going to knit because here's our stitch marker at the beginning of the row, and it's also the wrong side of our work. So we knit every stitch all the way to the end, passing your stitch marker as you come to it. Now, down in the description box of the mitered square videos here, I give the rows and what you need to do. I will be adding that to the bottom of this video as well in the description box. So from your pickup point, what your decrease row number of knit and then decrease is, and your number knit row. So we're just knitting all the way to the end. This is just a reminder from videos 1 and the beginning of 2. We have one more square after this. Okay, so now we're back to the beginning of the right side row, which means it's a decrease. Also, there is no stitch marker here at the beginning, in my case, so we know it is a decrease. So I would work my decrease the same as I did prior, where I do a 2 together and a slip slip knit. All the rest of the stitches are knitted. All right, everyone, so you're going to continue on, and like stated at the beginning of the video, if this is the first of the mitered square that you have clicked on, I recommend going back and watching square 1, square 2, and now square 3. The next video will be on square 4, and it'll be the final video for the knitted mitered square where you're connecting and adding on, because that will be all you need to know to continue on making a throw or an afghan, scrap gan, whatever you would like to make with these and connecting them together. All right, everyone, so that is it for adding on square 3. I'll see you in the next video for square 4. Be blessed, be a blessing, and until next time, bye for now.